Hi and welcome to this video. My name is Julian Koma from Market Update Premium. We trade growth and momentum stocks, and today I want to make a trade review with you. And the stock is BigBearAI. We were able to catch a 107% move in just a couple of days. This is an exceptional trade, and I want to show you how we entered the trade, how we placed the stop loss, and where we exit the trade. So stay tuned. Why BigBearAI? So at the moment, AI stocks are in favor of the stock market, and we are tracking AI stocks in the community for a couple of months now. There is the big leader Palantir in the market, but when you have one big leader, usually you also have a couple of other stocks setting up over time. And we were tracking BigBearAI for already a couple of months. The reason is very simple. This stock moved up substantially in just a couple of months here. You can see that it moved up almost 250%. And every time when you have a big move like that, it's usually institutional demand that is coming into the stock. And BigBearAI is a sister stock of Palantir, even if it has not the same institutional quality. It is a very liquid stock. They have sales, they have customers, so it's not a pure story stock, even if I would still call the stock a story stock. And we were really tracking the stock and waited for the right time to enter it. And what we looked for was that the stock builds a new consolidation or a new pattern. And that happened here. That happened here when the prices started to contract over time. It's better visible in the weekly chart. So when we look into the weekly chart here, you can see that, that the stock developed a cup and handle pattern, a very large cup and handle pattern over a couple of months here, and then it got tight above the weekly EMA 30. And that was exactly what we waited for. And then we went into the daily chart, which is our main chart, and then we were waiting for the right entry. And here you can see that the stock got tight over a couple of weeks. And here is the first selling wave, here is an up wave, here is a second selling wave, another up wave, and another pullback. And this is a typical VCP, a volatility contraction pattern. You can find more videos about that in my YouTube channel. So, and where is the right entry point to enter the stock? You never want to buy a stock blindly. This is important. You don't want to, buy here or just buy around the lows or try to catch a bottom or anything. You really want to time the entry right. And the entry in that case is when the stock breaks out of the pattern. And what you can see here, if we remove the last bar, what we can see here is that volume and positive price action was coming into the stock after it found support around the green line, so the EMA 21. And then it had the last pullback on lower volume. And that was the time when we said, okay, maybe now we can get an entry into the stock if it breaks out here above $4.60, so around that level here. And on the next day, you can see that it exactly did it. So it broke out above the $4.60 and we took a first position in it. And how do we place our stop loss in that case? So I usually place a 10% stop loss for more volatile, fast-moving stocks like this. A 10% stop loss, you can see that, is here around $4.10. So $4.13. Depends a little bit on your entry price. But you can see, the stop loss in that case was never in danger. And when it comes to the position size of a stock like this, a story stock, a fast moving stock, I usually don't trade more than 10%. So I entered the trade here in multiple steps. So I bought 50% around 460, then the stock went higher. I bought another 30% of my position, and when it was moving higher again, I bought the remaining 20%, so that I have a full position with 10% of my trading capital invested in BigBearAI. And then you can see it broke out and moved, what is it here, 44, 45% in just one day on monster volume. And the most people in that situation think, oh my God, the stock is very, very extended, I have to take profits. But you have to observe the stock, what the stock is doing in the next couple of days. This is very important. This here is just the beginning of the move. I mean, the stock is only up 2 days in a row. Of course, you can take some profits off the table after this big up move, but usually there is a little bit more potential left. So I took a little bit of profits. I took 25% of my position on this big up day to just reduce the risk. And in that case, I don't have any risk anymore in the trade. So even if it comes back and, triggers my stop loss in that case, I will not have any risk anymore in the stock. And you also have to move your stop loss higher, of course. I mean, this is a very big move, right? So, and then you can see on the next day, there was a reversal bar, and usually a lot of people are getting panicked now and say, oh, the stock will come back all the way and I will lose all my profits, etc. But never ever think emotional when it comes to decision making in trading. You must avoid that. First of all, we have our moving averages in place, which usually act as a support level, the EMA 8 for fast moving stocks and the EMA 21 here for a little bit slower moving stocks. So even if it pulls back all the way down to the EMA 8, the trend is still intact and working, right? So, and I did nothing with the stock. Even if it will come back here to $5.23, so retesting the last high, even in that case, the trend is still intact and the stock could move higher. So on the next day, you can see it moved higher and went all the way up to 930. And then the stock is already in an uptrend for a couple of days, still a lot of volume. So the stock trades around 200 million shares a day. And I think the floating shares, so the available shares that can be traded on the stock exchange is something like 200. So a huge trading activity in the stock. So, and then you can see it broke out to the upside here. And a potential target is $10 for me. Why $10? So these round price marks usually act as a magnet. And when you have a round price mark like that, usually a lot of people will orientate themselves on this price mark, something like 10, 20, 30, 50, 100, etc. And this short-term target here of $10 could be a first target to take some profits off the table. When I trade a stock like BigBearAI, so it's story or more a story stock, I usually do swing trades. So that means I try to sell everything into the strength. There is one exception, and I will come to that in a couple of minutes. So, and on that day here, that was Monday. On that day, I observed that BigBearAI was already up. It was, I think, 7-8% in pre-market and reached the 950 level in pre-market. And that's exactly the time when I started to unload my position, and I got lucky and unloaded the rest of my shares in pre-market. And why did I do that? If you have a move like this here, I mean, you can see that here for 60 to 950, so around that level. This is a 108% move in just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. That's a huge move. And the stock is usually exhausted. And it will come back, or it will start to consolidate after such a big move. Of course, the stock could move higher anytime, but I want to protect my profits in that case, and I want to look for a good entry. And when you have such a big move and the stock opens higher, 8, 9, 10% in pre-market, in that situation, it could signalize a climatic top. So that means the stock is really exhausted and there are not enough buyers left, and then sellers come into the market and can press the prices lower. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to take profits here around 950 in pre-market. Big up gap, and usually then you can see a correction or a consolidation. And let's look what happened. So on the next day, you can see I was already out. On Tuesday, the stock came back 8%, and then the stock started to move higher. I mean, in that situation, I'm out of the trade. It's totally fine, you know. I made the decision, I took my profits, I walked away with my profits, and now I have to wait for a new setup. And I don't get into a panic mode again. I mean, the stock found support around the EMA 8, which is great. But on the other side, you know, I already took my profits, and now it's really time to wait for a new setup. And usually after such a big move, the stock needs a couple of days to even a couple of weeks to consolidate. And then you can see it reached $10. So that means I sold a little bit too early, but it was totally fine for me. And then you can see here the next bar on Friday last week, it was another 7.78% down move here. So, and you can see from my sell point here, the stock had a pullback of 20. And with the benefit of hindsight, it looks like the stock will start to consolidate again. But you have to make the decisions in real time. And when you see a bar like this here, it could also mean that the stock will follow through on the downside and you will lose all your profits. So, and this is one of the reasons why I like to sell story stocks and more aggressive stocks into the strands so that I really can protect all the profits. And when you think about that, you know, I had a 10% position, I took some profits off the table here and I let the rest run, and then I took the profits around 950. So that means I made around 10% return on my overall trading capital in just a couple of days. And that is a great profit. That is a really, really good profit. And, you know, I want to protect these profits. So, and, you know, what I'm now waiting for is a new type of consolidation. You can see here this $10 level, which could be something like a resistance now in the next couple of days to a couple of weeks. And hopefully the stock will go sideways here and consolidate a little bit longer and then break out on the upside again. And in that situation, I can easily buy back into the stock and trade the next up move. And the next up move could maybe go to the all-time high here, which is $16 or even a little bit higher. So, you know, I traded a very strong swing here on the upside. And now I'm waiting for, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks more of consolidation, and then I can trade the stock again. So one mistake a lot of traders are doing is they remove the stock from their watch list after they traded it. And this is something you must avoid. These stocks, they can easily set up again. And in that case, you want to trade the next upswing. So keep the stock on your watch list and watch if it can create a new pattern, a new tradable pattern or not. So I think it was a very good trade, a very good home run trade. And this is exactly what we are looking for in the community. And this is exactly how I trade. I need these home run trades from time to time. And I'm able to catch these home run trades a couple of times in a year. And that's how I make all my profits in a trading year. It's not about all these small ups and downs in stocks. It's, you know, hitting some of these home run trades. And you don't have to trade or you don't have to be invested all the time in a stock like that. It's totally fine if you trade some bigger upswings, then you wait for a new consolidation, and then you can trade the next upswing. And, you know, I said that, okay, there would be one scenario where I would not take profits, but rather wait for, or rather use a trading stop like the EMA 8 or EMA 21. And this scenario would be if the stock would consolidate around the highs. So if, for example, the stock moved up like this here and then started to go sideways here and did not open with a 10% gap up, in that situation I would stick to the stock and rather use the EMA 8 here or EMA 21 as my selling guide. And why? Because this up gap of 10% shows me that there is so much demand for the stock that it is, or that it could be exhausted. If the stock would not open up with a 10% gap down here on Monday, in that situation, it shows me, okay, there are maybe some buyers left, and the stock could go sideways for a couple of days and then break out on the upside. So you always have to choose your selling strategy based on the price action of the stock. That's one of the reasons why I have so many sell rules, and I share them also with my members in the community, so that you can always pick the right selling strategy depending on the price action in the stock. So I think overall it was a very good trade. We have a couple of these AI stocks more on our watch list. And yeah, as I said, it's all about hitting some home runs in a year. So if you want to follow me, you can do that here on YouTube, of course, or on Twitter, or you can try out my member community 14 days for free. You find all the details in the description of the video.